Welcome, everybody, to the Hockey Think Tank podcast, brought to you by the Hockey Think Tank U community for all passionate parents, players, and coaches to go to get a little bit of education and a little bit of inspiration regarding the greatest game on the planet. Get ready, guys. Get ready, because the community, it's getting some upgrades. I cannot wait to share that with you guys in the next couple weeks. So be on the lookout for a even better HTTU community. I'm so excited to get that one going. But today we got a podcast, guys. We got a podcast, and it's just Jeffrey Jehu Lavecchio and I, and we are talking about 5 tips for all you hockey parents out there to help you navigate this journey through youth hockey to better support your son, better support your daughter, and better support yourself, to be honest with you. We had a lot of fun with this episode here. Before we do get going on that, though, let's bring in the talent of the podcast, the one Jeffrey Jehu Lavecchio. Vex, what's going on today, my brother?
Not much, man. Basically started a new company, I guess, called GMP, Give More Painting. The last 2 weeks, for anybody who follows me on the gram, just straight up painting in multiple locations for, I don't know, like 40 hours straight one week. And then whatever I've done the last little bit here. But man, it's super exciting getting all the gyms ready for the spring push here, and kids starting back up with us, and guys getting home from juniors in college. And one of my NHL guys texted me today. He's excited to get back. And you know, for me, this is like my season now, like the real thing when I get to go back to work and battle every day with the boys. So I'm super stoked for the off season, and I've had hundreds of players sign up for my off season training online, which has also been really, really cool, because you know we've added things and we kept the price the same. Like, it's hilarious. It's so cheap, it's insane. But like, my goal with the online stuff is to help as many players as I can who wouldn't have quality programming otherwise. So just super exciting stuff for me right now. As I said, like, this is my in season now.
Love that. And I love to hear that you're adding things and keeping the price the same, because that is exactly what we're doing with the Hockey Think Tank U community as well. And so, yeah, man, we're here for the people. We're here for the people, to say the least. Got to give a shout out, University of Denver. Denver winning the Frozen Four. Man, like David Carl, man, 3 national championships in 5 years, younger than us. I think he's 36 years old. Like, what a run. And, you know, had to go through a behemoth of the University of Michigan and University of Wisconsin to get there. Both games extremely close. I was so heartbroken for my guys in blue on Thursday, double overtime, played really well, played well enough to win. Just didn't get that bounce in a 1-game series. Anything can happen, right? And so, yeah, man, just heartbroken for them and NAR and everybody that's there. Also heartbroken for TJ Hughes. I really thought he was going to win the Hobie this year, and he didn't. Max Plant ended up winning it. He's obviously a great player too, and comes from a great hockey family. His dad, Derek's a great hockey guy, and he's got 2 brothers playing as well. And then announcing he's coming back for next year to be able to play with his brothers, which is pretty cool too. So just a great weekend all around of college hockey. I'm hearing that the Vegas Frozen Four was incredible. Everybody absolutely loved it. And yeah, man, it's but I feel for my Michigan guys. It's a tough one to go down like that, double overtime.
No, I texted Noah this morning and I was just like, love you, bro. Like, you will win. You will win. And his message back to me, I'll keep between him and I, but you know, he's excited to get back going again right away. So really happy for him having another amazing season, and just excited for him to continue that.
Yeah, 3 Frozen Fours in his first 4 years of being a head coach there. So pretty.
Is that bad? Did he break it? New high score?
Yeah. So great stuff with college hockey. And then, yeah, man, let's talk some parents. Let's talk to some parents here. And, you know, when we've done a few parent episodes before, but obviously every year we learn new things and get to talk to more people and just learn a little bit more about the landscape. This youth hockey landscape, it seems like, is changing literally every year. And so first of all, I want to thank everybody for like reaching out to me after I wrote that blog this week on youth hockey. And it was specifically for a lot of parents that are out there too, just on like just craziness that's going on. I had a couple different conversations with some people, and I'm just like, oh my God, what is going on right now? Like, what is going on right now? Like, just some horror stories of some things that I've heard from some really good hockey people, some program directors, some parents themselves reaching out on DMs and things like that. Just absolutely crazy. And so I wanted to take the opportunity to do this podcast here today. And so talk about like the 5 tips. And so what are they? What are those 5 tips? We'll give you a little bit of an introduction right now. Number 1, as is with everything that we say, number 1 is always what? Surround yourself with good people and surround your kids with good people. That's a huge part of being able to navigate it. So we're going to talk a lot about that. Number 2, find the positive in everything that you do. Find the positive in everything that happens in your kid's journey. There's always a learning moment, even in the tough times. And if you choose to see every moment as, you know, you can find something good. You can find a positive in it, even when you may not even think it. That's something that my parents always did with me. And that's something that we're going to talk about here today. Number 3, help your kid to run his own or her own race. Run your own race. Don't compare yourself to anybody else's. Everybody's got a different journey. Everybody's got a different path, wherever that ceiling may be. And so if you can, focus on the controllables and don't worry about the things that you can't control, particularly the comparison with other kids that are out there. The 4th one is communication is everything. It's absolutely everything. So many times when there's some tough stuff that goes on in anything, but particularly in the hockey world and the youth hockey world, it's from a lack of communication or miscommunication. Communication's everything. The more you invest time and effort into having good, honest, upfront communication with people, the less fires you're going to have to put out at the end of the day. And then lastly, this is probably something that we talk about in every podcast too, but find your why. What's your why? As a hockey parent, what's your why? Why'd you put your kid into youth sports? Why'd you put your kid into youth hockey? And go back to that, especially during the times when you're feeling the pinch, you're feeling stressed about everything that's going on, which happens. Our kids are the most important thing to us in our lives. And so find a way to go back to your why of why you put your kids in youth hockey. And we had some fun with this one, man. We had a lot of fun with this one. Hopefully you guys get a lot out of it. Vex, anything before we head off to the people we need to thank?
No, like Toph said, this one's a really important one and a lot of fun talking about this stuff too. So you guys are going to love this episode.
There we go. So with that, guys, we do have some people to thank before we do get over to this episode. First, want to thank our title sponsor, icehockeysystems.com, the best website out there for all your coaching education needs, but not just your coaching education needs now. They have family accounts where you can get this for parents and for kids. There's so much great content on there. We helped out a ton, particularly with the parent section, which you'll hear a lot today, and you'll get even more in depth if you get these family accounts here. So go to icehockeysystems.com, guys. Just an incredibly great value add for anybody in the hockey world. Doesn't matter what your role is, doesn't matter what your title is. Ice Hockey Systems has some great stuff for you. Go to icehockeysystems.com today.
I want to give a massive thank you to Train Heroic. Guys, Train Heroic's the platform that has allowed me to work with over 30,000 athletes, almost 34,000, maybe a little over, since COVID, right? It's unbelievable. It's what my off-season program is on. Whether you have a 13U player or 14 and up, I have programs for both, okay? In gym is 14 and up for the off-season. At home players, 13 and under, you can do it all from home with very minimal equipment. So videos, everything, me coaching, demonstrating, so you know exactly how everything should look. So Train Heroic allows me to help so many hockey players. So just a massive thank you to them.
Boom, 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 boom. Thank you also to one of the best hockey products out there on the market for development, and that is Helios Hockey. Helios is a sensor that you put into your shoulder pad that gives you real-time data, real-time feedback on your play, specifically 2 big things. Number 1 being a hustle score. Every time you move, that thing lights up and it gives you a little bit of an indication on your work ethic, your speed, things like that, but also with your skating. It's got great development tools for your skating stride and efficiency. And guys, like they have some unbelievable ambassadors for Helios Hockey. Number 1 being Matthew Nyes for the Toronto Maple Leafs, but also the MVP of the last Olympics on the women's side, Caroline KK Harvey. Guys, just an incredible product. And the best part about it for me is the fact that it syncs up with your video, whatever you're using, iPad, iPhone, video camera, Live Barn, links up with that. And you get your shifts from your games or your reps from practice right there for you, synced up after you're done. Unbelievable product. So go to helioshockey.com today, use the coupon code ThinkTank, one word, and you will get a 20% discount on your Pro Annual or your Pro 24-month subscription. Also want to thank our guys over at Crossbar. Crossbar is an end-to-end software solution that helps you to really streamline your operations of your youth hockey club. So what does that mean? First of all, it's incredibly easy to use, incredibly easy back end for the people who are doing all the planning, incredibly easy on the front end for your customers, for your hockey parents, your hockey families. And they also have unbelievable tools for registrations, not just for your entire season, but for little things like stick and pucks and drop-ins and stuff like that, financial reporting, tools and management for your facility. Guys, it's just a one-stop shop to run your youth hockey organization. So go to crossbar.org today and check that one out. And lastly, thank you to all of our amazing listeners. We love you guys so much. We've been pumping this thing out probably 7.5 years now, I would say, almost over 400 episodes. I was actually looking at it the other day, Vex. We're over 600 now when we add in the Friday faceoffs and the short shifts too, which is pretty cool. And so we just hit that mark. But guys, we love you. We continue to grind these babies out. And we love doing podcasts like the one we're doing today, where it's just Jeff and I, and we're talking about our perspective on the youth hockey world. I think you guys are going to love this one. If you can, for us, just interact with your podcast app wherever you can, whether that's Apple Podcast, iTunes, Spotify, Google Play. We are everywhere. Anytime you can shoot us a rating or review, leave us a comment, download, follow us. All that stuff helps us to get into some more people's ears. And if you think we're doing a solid for the hockey community and you want to help us to grow, that would be a great way to do that. So thank you guys. We appreciate you. You're going to love this episode. So without further ado, here we go with our 5 biggest tips as a parent to navigate the youth hockey journey. Let's go. What's up, everybody? We are excited for this episode. It is just Jehu and I today, and we are going to talk some real talk here about the 5 keys of navigating the youth hockey journey. We understand that it seems like the landscape just changes every year, and there's like more options, more opportunities, like new ways of thinking, and just sometimes that's a good thing, sometimes it can be very, very confusing. And so what we want to do today is have a real talk type conversation about, if you're a parent, how do you help your kid and how do you support them through their youth hockey journey as a kid, give you some tips to navigate it on your own. And for any coaches out here, just really good perspective to understand what parents and kids are going through that can help you to coach them to the best of your abilities. And so a lot of what we'll talk about here, guys, is first of all, just thank you, everybody out there listening, because so much of what we try to provide to everybody that listens to our podcast comes from questions that you give us. And Vex and I both multiple times a day will get DMs or emails from people all over the world as it relates to things that are going on in the hockey world. And so we take a lot of the conversations that we have with you, a lot of the feedback that we get from you, and try to have episodes like this where we can try to find a little bit of the sane and the insane and try to provide you some perspective from what we know and what we've been through and things that we've experienced, but also from the conversations that we've had with you and things that we've learned from you. Just really, really excited to be able to share what we're going to share with you guys here today. So 5 keys of navigating the youth hockey journey. Vex, you ready to rock and roll?
I think I know them. Are they dip, dive, duck, dodge, and whatever?
Dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge. They are, yes, that is what we're going to talk about here today.
Perfect.
Dodge, dip, duck, dive, and dodge. Yes. All right. So the 5 keys. So I think we'll go through it just like really quickly at first, just so everybody has an understanding what those 5 things are. And then we'll dive deeper into each of these little subjects here. So number 1, if you've listened to our podcast at all, especially in these types of episodes where it's just Vex and I, and we're having some real talk about, youth hockey or just the hockey world in general, because I don't think this one is just separate for youth hockey. Surround yourself and surround your kids with good people. That is the most important thing that you can do when you're trying to support your kids and when you're trying to understand the landscape. If you can get around the best people, then you're going to put yourself in a situation that it's going to be better at the end of the day. So Vex, anything there? Like, just surround yourself with good people, and we'll dive a little bit deeper, but agreed?
Yeah, 100%.
That's all you got for me?
Are we going into each one?
I'm kidding.
or are we, like, I didn't want to go off on a 14-minute, speech, and then you're
we'll
like,
do that.
well,
we'll do that in a couple
two.
minutes. I like it.
Right,
so number one, it's all about people. Number two, run your own race. Run your own race. The comparative culture in hockey today, and the, thinking we have to do X to achieve Y result. And if we don't do X, we're not going to get there type stuff. Like, that is just flat out not true. And we want to have an honest conversation about that. Every kid's journey is different. There are some similarities and some consistencies that we've seen of people that have done some pretty good things in the hockey world. And we'll talk about those too. But at the end of the day, like, do not compare yourself to somebody else. As a parent, do not compare your kid to somebody else's kid's journey. Run your own race.
Hard. Maybe one of the hardest pieces, I'm going to guess, of advice that's on this list, but also the most important.
Yeah, 100%. Number three, find the positive in every situation that you can. And the youth hockey journey for a kid, for a parent, and for a coach, so basically for everybody that's listening, there's going to be some tough moments. There's probably going to be a lot of tough moments when you look at it on the aggregate of the whole macro. And also when you look at every individual year, it's not going to go perfectly. There's going to be a lot of things that don't go right. We want to have results right away. And we live in a day and age of instant gratification. And if we don't get those results right away, sometimes we tend to go off the deep end a little bit. And so one of the things that my parents always taught me was to try to find a positive in every situation. And again, not every situation is the same. And so navigating that can be tough at the end of the day, but really, truly finding the positive, really, truly trying to find the good in each situation that you're in, I think can really help you to navigate that journey. Vex, give me your 5 seconds.
I lied. Maybe that's the most important. Keep going.
Okay, we got 3 most important things. Perfect. Okay, number 4. It's all about communication. Everything is about communication, and the more honest, the more upfront communication is between everybody that goes on in youth hockey, like the better the journey is going to be. And so what we will talk about with that is, for me, there's like 3 really key stakeholders in every kid's journey. It's the kid, it's the parent, and then it's the coach. And when the communication, we'll talk about each of those 3 and in between how those can and should go. Like, that's ultimately when the communication is there. So many of the problems that we see in youth hockey, it comes from either miscommunication or lack of communication. And so communication is key. Key number 4.
Just like on the ice, baby. Got to talk.
All right. And then the last one that we'll talk about, again, if you have listened to our podcast at all, if you follow anything that we do, what is the question that we probably ask the most on here? It's, what's your why? What's your why as a player? What's your why as a coach? What's your why as a parent? Why'd you put your kid into youth hockey? Why'd you put your kid into youth sports? When you're looking at how to navigate this journey, always coming back to your why and the reason for doing something, it can be a very, very powerful thing. And so those are the 5 little subjects that we'll talk about here tonight. And Vex, sounds like 3 of those are the most important of the 5, although the other 2 I would say are pretty good too. But
I was about to say 5 also is so important with the other 4 in mind. So let's get deep. Let's go.
All right, here we go. So number 1, and again, I don't honestly think we need to talk too much about this because I feel like we talk about it on every single podcast episode that we do. But the most important thing that we all can do in navigating this crazy youth hockey world is surround ourselves and surround the people that we care about with the best people possible. And so I have a question for you to kind of get this conversation started. when we talk about wanting to surround our kids with the best people possible, what does that mean? Give me the attributes, the characteristics of the best people possible, of the people that you would put your kids, in their purview. They're going to be your kid's mentor. They're going to be your kid's coach. They're going to be your kid's leader. What type of attributes should that person have for you as somebody who is a parent now?
I mean, number one, it doesn't matter the age, like obviously a good person. It's like, oh, that's cliche. But guys, everybody listening, it's so freaking important. It's so important that whoever is the coach or the leader's assistant coach, whoever's running the program, running the ship, if they aren't living to the standards that this coach, we'll say coach, is asking the team to live up to, the players aren't going to buy in. Because here's an example. You're trying to teach your players, hey, one of the big tenets of our team is being responsible, leaving places better than you found them, taking responsibility, accountability, things like that. We'll use an example of cleaning the locker room up wherever you are. If they walk into your coach's room or coach's office and it looks like a nuclear bomb went off and there's pizza boxes in there from 3 months ago, cans, it's just a mess. Well, how do you they're not going to do the things that you're asking them to do, because they're like, even if they're not vocalizing this, they're seeing your example. And now the barometer, the bar that they're going to hold themselves accountable to is the same as yours. So why is it important that they have to be a good person, a morally sound person, an ethically sound person? Because that's the example that they're going to hold themselves accountable to. If that person is living at a 5 out of 10, right? Guess what? When he tries to hold them accountable, they're going to hold themselves accountable to the 5 out of 10 standard instead of a 9 or a 10 or whatever we're looking for. And that goes hockey, school, all these life lessons that we're using at hockey as a vehicle to teach. This is really, really, really important, guys, because that saying, poop crap trickles downhill, right? They're uphill. If they're not taking care of theirs, they're not going to be able to hold the team accountable. They're not going to respect them. They're not going to actually buy into all the messages, the systems on the ice, and things like that. I've seen it so many times in youth hockey.
Lessons are caught, not taught. We say it all the time. Lessons are caught, not taught. I totally agree with you. I think for me, the most important thing is that the people who are going to be leading your son or your daughter have to care about them more as a person first and then a player second, and actually do things that show that they care. Are they putting in the time and effort to teach your kids life lessons at the end of the day? And I said this on a previous podcast. I can't remember. It wasn't too long ago, but actually, who it was? I was on the Crazy Hockey Dads podcast that you and I both did. And they asked me a question about kind of growing up. And I talked about how my parents, they didn't care really about the hockey knowledge of the person that was going to be coaching me. They cared about the person. And their thought process was the hockey will take care of itself. If this person is going to teach my kid life lessons, then that's what's the most important thing. And then if he ends up being a better hockey player because of it, that's just a bonus almost. And so they always put me with sometimes not even the better hockey coach, but the better person. Worked out for me. And it's worked out for a lot of people I know who have the same feelings and feel the same way. And so does this person care about my kid as a person first? And then I wrote 3 words down here as you were talking that I kind of think symbolizes a lot of what I think about this question. And I think if you were to ask everybody 3 words, it's going to be different because we all value different things. We value the same things, but certain things are more important to us than maybe other people. And the 3 things that I have on here, number 1 is honesty. I want my kids to be surrounded, and I, as a parent or a coach, want to be surrounded by people who are going to tell me the truth, the good, the bad, and the ugly. And there's nothing more frustrating for me than getting, and I get these a lot, than getting messages from kids and getting messages from parents about false promises and people not following through on the things that they say they were going to do. that for me, like, makes me probably the most upset when I get messages like that, because you get into a situation and you're so excited about it, and you've been told that X, Y, or Z is going to happen, and then you come to find out that it doesn't. And so as I'm looking at people who I want to associate myself with in the hockey world, as I'm, having these conversations with other people who are looking for guidance on where to put my kid, or as a kid, like, where should I play and things like that, honesty for me goes a really long way, a really, really long way. So that's number one. Number two is enthusiasm. I want to be around people who are enthusiastic and love what they do. Now, that comes out in different ways. That doesn't mean that a coach has to be rah-rah in the locker room and loud on the ice and all that kind of thing. For me, enthusiasm is just putting in a really good effort and loving what you do in the way that you can. So there might be a coach that's an analytical person. They don't like being the center of attention and things like that. But they have an individual meeting with your kid once a month, or they're really good at providing feedback on the ice one-on-one with kids on the ice. So like, enthusiasm can come out in different ways, but I want to surround myself with people who love what they do and have an enthusiasm with which they bring to the rink every single day. So that's the second one: honesty, enthusiasm. And then honestly, the third one is humility. Somebody who's humble. Like, we live in a world today where the people thumping their chests the loudest seem to get the most attention, when the ones that are really doing the work, like, my dad had a saying with me growing up, and that was, if you need to tell people how good you are, you're really not that good. And so, like, let your actions, let your work speak for yourself. And what you do speaks so much louder than what you say. And so, like, I love to be around people who have, and that's not to say you can't be confident. Like, I want my kids around confident people. There's a difference between confidence and arrogance, in my opinion. And so I want to be around people who have that humbleness. And I think that translates to work, because I think people who aren't humble just think they're really talented and they can skate by on just their talent alone and they don't have to work at it. But again, you go to caught, not taught. Like, I want to be around people who are going to have an example that are going to make me want to work harder. I talk about that all the time with players. Like, the best teams that I've ever been on, like, the work ethic, it just, everybody had that work ethic and it raised everybody's standards up. And so, like, I just wrote those three words down. Like, what does that look like? Honesty, enthusiasm, and humility. Any thoughts to any of those?
Honesty is obviously massive, like, super, super massive. We hear in youth hockey all the time, oh, well, this coach wants me. He's trying to get me to come over here. And he told me that I'm going to be on the power play and I'm going to be on the first line. And I'm not saying anything about that situation. That's kind of like something else. But then parents will be like, oh, he told me this. He promised me this. He promised me that. And it's like, well, yeah, the season hasn't started. It doesn't matter what he promised you. If you're not fulfilling the expectations of that role, you're not going to be in that role. You have to earn that role. So I'm not saying that you shouldn't talk to coaches and like, where do you see my son or daughter fitting in on your team? That type of thing. You can have those conversations, but you really need, like, honesty from the coach. And the other thing too, man, like, I think about, like, meetings that I've been in as a player and be like, what can I do? But, oh, you're doing great. You're doing great. Well, why am I being healthy scratch then if I'm doing great? No, tell me exactly what you want me to work on that is not up to par at the moment. And I will work on that until I have gotten better, whatever that takes. A minute, a year, 10 years. I will nonstop work at that. But just be honest with me where I'm lacking so that I can work on those things and be better. You want that honesty from a coach, 100%.
Yeah.
I think that's so freaking important.
Yeah. I tell parents when they ask me, like, what team should my kid play for? Like, if you have in the recruiting process, let's call it for whatever age, if you have somebody that's promising you ice time or promising you a role or anything like that, what I would tell you is run in the other direction. Run in the other direction. Like, I would never put my son or daughter with a coach that promises them anything. I wouldn't. I just flat out would not do that. I would put my son or daughter with a coach that says, hey, you got to earn it. You have to earn it. Like, if you want to be a power play person, great. Like, you have to earn it in practice. You want to be on the ice in a 5-on-6 or a 6-on-5 situation, great. You got to earn it. Now, I think you could be there, right? Like you have the skill, you have the talent that I think that this is where you probably might be if you put the work in. But if you don't work, you're not going to do it. And so like, I'm signing my kid up for that coach, even though there's the quote unquote uncertainty versus the other coach that's feeding me lines and the certainty when in reality it's BS, at the end of the day. So yeah, honesty, it's all about people, guys. Like at the end of the day, you think about this from even like a scientific, black and white perspective. Like you are a byproduct of the people you surround yourself with. If you surround yourself with negative people, you're going to be a negative person. If you surround yourself with positive people, you're going to be a positive person. That's just the way that we are wired. It's human nature. And so surrounding yourself with the people that hold the values that you think are important, when you think about navigating this journey yourself as an adult or for the kids, it's everything. Absolutely everything.
Massive.
Massive, massive. All right. Number 2, run your own race. Run your own race. At the end of the day, again, I say it like we did that NHL study a year ago where we looked at, I think it was maybe the 22-23 or 23-24 season. I don't remember off the top of my head, but we looked at every single American-born player that made the NHL. There were 288 different journeys of all those players that made the NHL. Some had some consistencies, obviously, but every kid had their own journey. And what I would encourage everybody to do is try as best as you can. And you mentioned this a little bit earlier, because it is hard to not compare your journey with somebody else's. It's really easy to do that. We understand there's rankings and there's websites and there's social media and everything is so public now that it's so much easier to do that now than it was when Vex and I were growing up and we were in it 20 to 30 years ago. But again, everybody has a different path. And one kid's path might not be the best path for somebody else. And that might mean not playing at a higher level right away. That might mean not moving away from home. Again, there's like so many different avenues to go. You got to try to understand and figure out what that right race is for you, what that right path is for you. And a lot of that, honestly, when you think about making decisions on your path, it's surround yourself with good people. That'll be a theme for everything that we talk about today, but everybody has a different journey.
It's so true, but I'll give this one small caveat. You shouldn't compare yourself to others like, oh, this guy made this team. Why am I not on that team? Because that doesn't do anything for you from a motivational standpoint or from I've got to be more disciplined so I can make this or that, right? Like you don't want to compare yourself in that aspect. But the one aspect I think you can do is if you look at this player is really good at these certain skills and he's at the level I want to be at. So I've got to get better at those skills because maybe I'm not as good at those. Yeah, you could compare yourself that way. But the way that Toe's talking about in today's world, so many players, this team's ranked here and we're not. So we're not going to do this or we're going to do that. Like, no, everybody is different. Everybody's maturation rates. Some people peak puberty at 13. I didn't have my first armpit hair. I'm still waiting for it, probably. This is a fake beard I got going on, right? It's patchy. Okay. Like everybody's going through puberty differently. Everybody is going through different things. So it's like, if your end goal, know what your end goal is. One of these top 5 reasons or 5 things is what is your why? Know what your end goal is. That is your why. Then you reverse engineer the steps. How do I get there? And then it's your job on your timeline to make sure that you're hitting those check marks along the way. And it might be different for you timeline wise than somebody else. But if you're on the path and it's a goal you have, it doesn't matter. Go after it with everything you can, all of your energy, all of your being, everything, and see where the chips fall. Right. But just don't be like, well, he's on this team, so why am I not on that? Because it doesn't do anything good for you. It doesn't help you in any way. So super
100%.
important to run your own race and know that everybody gets there differently. But at the same time, know the end goal, know the destination, reverse engineer, and try to hit those check marks in whatever your timeline is.
Love that. Love that. All right, I'm gonna pull out some, let's call it data here. So the Hobie Baker hat trick finalists were just announced. Okay. We got TJ Hughes, we got Max Plant, and we have Eric Polkamp from Denver. Okay. So Hughesy is actually a kid who I had at Michigan. So he was a freshman when I was there, and he's a senior this year. Okay. So let's look at TJ's journey here. TJ played for the Hamilton Huskies in Ontario, not one of the best AAA organizations up there. Then he played 2 years of junior B hockey in Ontario. Then he played 3 years of Tier 2 Junior A hockey in Alberta. Okay. Comes into Michigan as a 20-year-old. That was his path. He's the captain of Michigan this year. He's the second leading scorer in the country. He turned down NHL contracts every summer because education's important to him. And now he's a Hobie Baker hat trick finalist. Not the best at 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. He finally pops off in the Alberta Junior Hockey League, goes to Michigan. That's one path of the Hobie Baker. Next one, let's look at Max Plant, who is the son of Derek Plant, who is the man. He's a longtime NHLer, really, really good guy. And he's from Hermantown, Minnesota, right? So a Minnesota kid. So let's look at his journey. Played for Hermantown. Then he goes to the NTDP, plays 2 years at the NTDP, goes into Duluth, and as a sophomore this year, he is a Hobie Baker hat trick finalist, right? So plays in Minnesota his whole life. Then he plays at the NTDP, goes to Duluth, sophomore, second round NHL draft pick to the Detroit Red Wings. I would say very different path than TJ Hughes' path to become a Hobie Baker hat trick finalist. And then let's look at Eric Polkamp, who's playing at the University of Denver right now. So he's from Brainerd, played Brainerd High School. Okay. Played Brainerd High School, finished off his last year, played a little bit in the North American Hockey League, 9 games when his season was over. Then he played 2 years in the USHL, his first year in the USHL, right? Just average, fine, 18 points in 61 games as a defender, -1. Next year, 51 points in 59 games, -1. Gets a scholarship, goes to Bemidji. He's at Bemidji State University for his first year. Then he transfers, goes to Denver, plays 2 years in Denver. This year is his junior year, almost a point a game as a defenseman at the University of Denver. He's a 5th-round pick in the NHL to the San Jose Sharks. So those are the 3 players, guys, of the Hobie Baker hat trick finalists. Would you say they're completely different?
Yes.
In their pass?
Just a little bit.
And then I look at a guy like Lucas Wallin, and I just actually tweeted this out here. Their coach, Leon Hayward, their assistant coach there at St. Thomas, like this is a kid that he played in the NA3 HL. Like he was a Minnesota high school kid. Then he was in the NA3, and then he played a bunch of years in the North American League. And then he goes to St. Thomas, which at the time, like was not a big hockey school. And then he goes to St. Thomas, has an okay first year. He's the captain of his team as a sophomore and a junior and a senior. And here's a kid that was playing in the NA3, which is like really, 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 really low level junior hockey, who just signed an NHL contract the other day with the Winnipeg Jets. Right. So like everybody's got a different path. Adam Fantilli, who I also had at Michigan, he was the best guy all the way through. There's kids that make it that way, and then there's kids that make it the other way. Now, first of all, before I say something else, what are your thoughts on that, man? Just those 3 guys, like insane.
I mean, here's the thing, guys. No matter what your path is, if the goal is the goal, and with those guys, it's probably play in the NHL, or I want to play pro hockey and play Division I hockey. Like when they were younger, that's what they're thinking. Whatever path, high school, NA, USHL, don't care what it is. It's up to you to make that path work. That's what we need. That's what we're saying. Like with the don't compare yourself to others. No matter where you are, if you have the same goal as others, which is what we're talking about here, a high level goal, it's up to you to find a way to make it work. You're playing in the AJ and your team doesn't have workouts, find a way to get workouts in. You're playing in USHL and you got the hardest strength coach in the league who's murdering you every day. Well, there's an opportunity to get better. Let's go. It doesn't matter where you are or what you're doing. If your goal is the goal, then you need to know what is required to achieve that goal. And within my path, that means I'm going to do bop, 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 bop to maximize my abilities.
Love
the
that,
biggest
man.
difference is, what is the roadmap within your lane? If we're on a highway and one lane is playing in high school and then the NA, then the USHL. Another lane is you're the best player all the way up. You played in all the best leagues. Another lane is whatever. In your lane, we're all trying to go to the same direction, but you got to find out in your lane what you need to do to get to that end goal, right?
Yeah.
That's what's the most important. It's not going to be the same as the guy who was the best all the way through. It's not going to be the same as a guy playing in the best junior league versus the worst junior league. You're going to get different ends of the spectrum. One team probably has unbelievable in-season team workouts and video and all that. One team, you might not have any of that. But if your goal is the same end destination as the other guys on that highway, in your lane, you've got to figure out what you need to do personally to get to that end goal.
Yeah, and this is where some of the consistencies come in, and that I want to talk about it, that you just talked about too. So it's interesting. So Leon Hayward, who's an assistant coach at St. Thomas, great dude, great coach. So I tweeted about Wallin, and then he tweeted back, "Hey, Hockey Think Tank, great example for those late developing kids out there. It's hard, not a straight line, and not easy, but you have a chance. Lucas is an elite human and teammate. His Tuesday practice is the same effort as his Friday game." And so for everybody listening, pretty much, I would say 99.9%, if you have that dream of playing at that level, D1 or, pro hockey, if you get there, it's going to be the longer path. It's going to be more the TJ Hughes, Eric Polkamp, Lucas Wallin. And a couple things that Leon said there. He said, Lucas is an elite human and teammate. I'm sorry, you ain't going to get to where you want to get to if you're going the long way, if you're not an elite human and a great teammate. You're just not. You're not going to get there. So if you are taking this longer path to your dreams, those are two things that I would put high on the list of things that I need to be to get there. Elite human, elite teammate. And then the other thing that he said was his Tuesday practice is the same effort as his Friday game. If, again, looking at the consistencies, and I know TJ because I was with him for a year. Hardest working player, like insane his work habits. The fellas called him the mobility man because he was always the first player in the gym and the last player out, working on his body, making sure his body was ready to go on that Friday night when the lights were on the most. And so, if you have a dream, you're probably going to be the long path. And if you're going to be on the long path, elite human, elite teammates, and elite work ethic, those are musts. Those are necessities. You have to be all three of those things, or I can pretty much promise you that the journey is going to be short. It's not going to go where you want it to go, right? So here we are, we're talking about, hey, everybody's got a different path and you can make it in all these different ways. Yes, but let's also have an honest conversation that if you are going the long path, which most of the people that are listening are, elite human, elite teammate, elite work ethic. You don't have those three things, you have zero chance. Would you agree? It's literally zero chance.
Zero.
I mean, you think about the guys that you have in your gym. You could tell from having these guys in the gym, great teammate, great work ethic, great human being, right? Have any of the kids who have overachieved, have any of the kids who have had to go the long way, and you have plenty of guys that you work with that are playing in the NHL right now, are any of those, I don't know how many of it is, not have one of those three things?
No, zero. And I've had guys who came to me, once they got later in their career, pro or college, and right away I could tell that they weren't going to play as long as they should with their on ice talent because of lacking things like that. My goal is to try to blast and instill those things into every player I work with, because those are things that help you maximize your abilities.
100%, man. All right. So, number one, surround yourself with good people. Number two, run your own race. Number three, find the positive in every situation. Find the positive in every situation. Again, youth hockey is confusing. There's going to be times where you might make the quote unquote wrong decision to play for the wrong coach or the wrong organization, whatever. I've made it. Vex, you've made it. Every year is not perfect. Even the good years aren't perfect, but the bad years certainly aren't perfect. And we had bad years in youth hockey, the two of us, and pretty much everybody. And so that was one thing that I really thank my parents for, is like one of their biggest messages to me always was find the positive in a situation. And what's this going to teach us, and how is it going to help us to make ourselves better? Right. And so as you're supporting your kid through their journey, or if you are a player that's listening to this right now, and you might have had a really tough year, you might be in the middle of a really tough situation, try to find the positive in that situation. And I'll just give you like an example. So I had a coach once that was like yeller and a screamer, like a really big yeller and a screamer, just absolutely old school, authoritarian, knew his stuff about hockey, but like really just hard to play for at certain times, especially if you were in the doghouse. And in a hockey season, you're always going to be in the coach's doghouse at some point, or there's going to be some point where you are. And one of the things that my parents always used to say was, listen to the message, not how he's saying it. Listen to what he's saying, not how he's saying it. And so what's the thing that he's trying to teach you? What's the message that he's trying to give that can help you to be better? Like, let's disregard how he's saying it, yelling and screaming and all that kind of stuff. And let's think about the message. And so that's just an example. But like, honestly, like when I tore my ACL, what was the message from my parents? It was, what's the positive we can take out of this? When I got cut multiple times in my career, what was the message from my parents? It was, what's the positive we can take out of this? And we can find the positive in different things. And I will say there are going to be situations that are going to be hard. And I know like there are certain decisions that me and my family made in my journey when I was a youth hockey player that probably weren't the right decision. And in that sense, when I was going through it, what my parents always told me too was like, what's the positive? And then like, this is a 1-year contract. Like every year is a 1-year contract. And if you like, don't quit on it. Make the best of the situation that you're in. It's a hard situation. Find the positive in it. And we're not going to quit. We're not going to, put our sword down. We're going to fight through it. We're going to work through it. It is hard. But if we feel like at the end of the year, we need to reevaluate and look at different options, we will do that. And I feel like so many people nowadays, when it gets hard at that moment, they're so ready to quit. They're so ready to just say the grass is greener on the other side and I'm looking for something else. But like, you don't build resilience that way, which is like one of the most important life skills that we can have. And so, what is the positive? Work through the tough stuff, learn how to use adversity to your advantage, learn how to make you better. And again, like that is a message that we have to be talking about over and over and over again.
I know we said, oh, this is the most important. This is the most important. This is the most important. I think what is your why? Number 5 is probably the most important, because that is the one thing that all of these things will balance off of and help you to always stay motivated, to be disciplined. Because motivation is great, but motivation is kind of a thing that can be yay or nay different days. Discipline allows you to work on the days you're not motivated. So I think the what is your why is so important, but like being able to find the positives in everything, being able to, because if you can do that, you're learning from the hard times and stuff. And that's resilience. One of the most important characteristics in any high level player is resiliency. If you want, and every parent listening, think about your job, think about your career, your work life. If you played sports, there's ups, there's downs, there's all of this. There's so many people out there like Sahil Bloom. If you guys don't follow him, amazing follow. Just shot me a message the other day. What's up? Not a big deal. But he just put something out there the other day, and it was saying, I'm convinced that, the most successful people are just the people who keep showing up every single day. And so if you're somebody who can take the positives from the negative situations, you're able to do that, because it doesn't matter if you just got, dealt the worst hand ever. Topher tearing his MCL or ACL when he's talking to all these schools, tears his ACL. Nobody's talking to him anymore. He's got one team left talking to him. He's got that jersey behind him right now. Right. Like that's a tough time, but What is the positive from this? I'm going to get stronger. I'm going to do this. I'm going to do that. So he was able to then show up every day for rehab. He was then able to show up to the beginning of the skates when his knee hurt, coming back from that injury. He was able to show up and battle through that and get back in shape. And that's what allowed him to come back and score the most points he ever had, wind up going to Cornell, wind up being a captain at Cornell, wind up doing all these cool things. He creates a hockey think tank. And all of that happens because he's able to take the positives from each day, which allows you to show up the next day. So it's like a cascading effect of events where if you don't have that mindset, the steps that you need to take to get to the end goal, which we keep talking about, you'll never take those steps, which means you don't get to the end goal.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Use the heart, choose your hard, right? That's something that it's a quote that I've heard before, but for whatever reason, it's just been sticking a lot lately. Choose your hard.
First Form, the supplement company I'm with, they talk about that all the time because their big thing is like helping. They help athletes with supplements and yada, 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 but they want to help like normal people lose weight and keep it off. And they have this amazing app and they do all these cool things to support that. But I think one of the easiest examples is, let's say you're overweight or you're overweight and unhealthy and things like that. Choose your hard. Yeah, it's going to be hard for you to go to the gym in the beginning. It's going to be hard for you because it's uncomfortable and all these things. But what's the alternative? Being overweight, being out of breath, can't play with your kids, unhealthy, earlier
and then
diseases.
You're constantly beating yourself up because you want to get better, but you haven't
So it's like the hardness of going and doing the thing and showing up, or the hardness of not doing it. And where does that lead you? And what does that do to your mind for the rest of your life? So it's like Toph saying, choose your hard. And if you have that mindset to be able to show up every day and you're taking hey, I just got to get a win. And then I got that win. Now that gets me tomorrow. Let me get a win tomorrow. That gets me the next day. Let me get a win. And now you're moving up the side of that pyramid towards the apex.
Yeah, it reminds me actually too of so I do a weekly newsletter. If you're not subscribed to our newsletter, subscribe to the newsletter. Maybe we'll put a link at the bottom of the show notes for this one. But once a week, I'll send a newsletter out, and there's a bunch of thousands of people that have subscribed to it. And what I wrote about this week was, don't wait to be the person that you want to be. And I got this from a podcast that I was listening to. It was between Ed Milet, who I think he's like a motivational speaker type person, and he was interviewing Sage Steele, who used to be an ESPN anchor and has spoken out about different things which do not align with Disney and ESPN and blah, 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 blah. Typically, and it was during COVID, like that was the thing. She spoke out. So you probably know this story, but it was a really kind of like heart-wrenching but also heartwarming interview that he did with her. And she was like, I was so afraid to be myself. I was so afraid for so many different reasons to just live my life authentically and speak my truth. And, cause she just like had a fear of what that was going to do. And then she ended up doing it. And she says, now my only regret is that I didn't do it sooner. My regret wasn't in doing it. My regret was that I didn't do it sooner. And the thing that really got her was when, she basically told her kids that she was going to be suing Disney, for wrongful termination or whatever it was, something like that, for speaking out. And she was like, there's going to be a lot of media on this. Your mom's going to get smoked, and things like that. And I can't remember if it was his son or daughters, but I think it was her son that looked at her and he was like something to the effect of like, I'm really glad that you can finally like live your truth. And she just melted, because like here she was thinking that she was protecting her kids by not speaking out because of the backlash, when in reality, again, lessons are caught, not taught. And she talked about the lesson that I got was that my son, was going to speak his truth a lot sooner than I did from watching me speak my truth. And so like, don't be afraid to be the person that you want to be, and so many times, and myself included, it's fear. It's fear of judgment or fear of other people's opinions or fear of expectations, not living up to them, that keeps us, where we're at. When at the end of the day, again, going back to it, find the positive in a situation, any situation and any decision that you make, find a positive in it, and even though it might be hard at the time, but again, choose your hard. And so I wrote about that in my newsletter, and just as you were talking about that came to mind for me. But like, don't wait to be the person that you want to be. Action alleviates anxiety.
Man, you're spitting fire today, Toph. Whatever success I've had in my life, I believe I completely overachieved in my hockey career. I earned it. It wasn't like it was given, you know what I'm saying? But I feel like through my work ethic and all this stuff, I think that I overachieved in my hockey career. I think I've done that with my wife. What's up? Love you, babe. I think I've done that with my business, too. And literally what you just said, the taking the positive, show up tomorrow, find a way, the not caring what anybody else thinks and just finding a way to do it because that's what you want to do. I mean, honestly, I got made fun of like with the boys, and I'm sure there's guys for sure made fun of me for real, didn't like me because of how hard I worked. Because honestly, knowing what I know now about psychology, that's just, they were upset with themselves that they couldn't push themselves that hard to go after what they said they wanted, and I was able to, because I didn't care if I fell. I didn't care if I got beat up. I didn't care if I failed. And it's the same thing with my business. I've mentored over 100 coaches now that are gym owners, strength coaches, personal trainers. And one of the biggest things that they tell me, and it's holding them back, is they're afraid to put themselves out there. They're afraid of what other people are going to say or think about them. And what I have found, and I learned this in my hockey career, I don't care. I don't care what you think about me. If you don't like me, as long as my clients believe in what we're doing and they believe in me and the systems and all these things, and it's working, that's who I care about. You're on the outside of that bubble. Make fun of me all you want. Chirp me. I do not care. You know what I mean? So I love that you just said that. And I think it's so important. And then the last thing I want to say, because you said it in the beginning, and it's something we've said on the podcast in the last 6 months, probably 5 or 6 times. And it's something that would have really helped me when I hit hard times in my career. And it's so simple. It's take the coach's message, maybe not, and leave like the way he's saying it. So if a coach yells at you, he's screaming at you, whatever.
It's what they say, not how they're saying it.
Right. Take what they're saying into, you ruined it. You blew the game. It's your fault. Blah, 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 blah. Okay. What happened there? Oh, I lost a face-off. Okay. I can't lose a face-off clean. Okay. Take that, lose the other stuff, take the positive out of that. I have something now to work on. I can be better at face-offs. Go work on face-offs tomorrow. Show up and do that. You got better from the negative thing. Don't let the coach screaming at you, yada, 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 bring you down to a point where it disheartens you. It makes you not want to show up, whatever. Just take that message, breathe, energy block, bad, up and around, and, that thing.
If you know what movie that is, I love you guys. And actually, there was another movie thing that you just talked about. I do not care. What movie is that from?
It's there. It's at the top of my brain, but I'm not.
I actually just watched it like last weekend. I was motivated.
Oh man, I don't know.
Remember the Titans.
Oh, what a movie!
The scene with the 2 young daughters in the stands. Girl,
yeah.
She's talking about the football.
Hayden Panettiere.
Cheryl, I do not care. Great movie. Good. Great flick.
So good.
Blitz all night.
I love it.
I don't want them to gain another yard. Okay, here we go. Okay, so number 3. Now we're going to go to number 4. Communication is everything, guys. Communication is everything. And I mentioned it a little bit at the beginning, but there's 3 major constituents in a youth hockey journey. There is the player, there is the coach, and there is the parent. And the healthier the communication between all 3 of those constituents, the better the youth hockey experience is going to be. And so let's kind of break it down here for a second. Let's first talk. What do you want to do? Parent to coach? Do you want to do coach to player? Do you want to do parent to player? Which one do you want to go first?
I think we go parent to player just because we have so many parents that listen. I think
okay, parent to player. We're going to start with that. The car ride home's everything, guys. The car ride home is absolutely everything. I think it's so important. And how many NHL players have we had on our podcast, Vex? We've had a ton. And we ask every single one of them about their car ride home with mom and dad at some point in the conversation. And every single person has told us what? It was great. It was positive. There was never any pressure. They were never coaching me. Like, I don't remember one that was not like that, you know? And so, like, again, lessons are caught, not taught. Like, the car ride home is everything. If you make excuses in the car ride home, your kid's going to be an excuse maker. And I don't know anybody that's great at anything that is an excuse maker. If you put too much pressure on them, they're not going to love the game. And if you want to achieve your dream in this game, the most important thing you need to have is a love for the game. And so the communication that you have with your kid about the sport is extremely important. The other thing that I would say too is ask questions. Let them lead the journey, not you. This isn't your journey as an adult. This is your kid's journey. And so there might be a kid, we were talking to a parent earlier before we got on, and they were like, one of my kids like always wanted to be on the ice, like even in the spring and in the summer and all that kind of stuff. My other kid did not. They wanted to play multiple sports. They wanted to, hang out with their friends and all those other things. And like, it's like, let them lead it. Don't be the person that says you have to do X, Y, and Z. Support them through it, but let them lead it. So I think those are two really important things, is like the car ride home is important. And then also let the kid, like, you got to listen to what they have to say too. Ask them questions. This is their journey, not yours.
Oh, this is their journey, not yours. I'm not saying all parents need to hear that, but I definitely think there's a good percentage.
Well, there's a few that we know
that need to remember that. Like, you can help, obviously, and you can instill and all these things, but like, you can't be driving. The kid has to be in the driver's seat.
And what I will say to that too, Vex, and I'd love your take on this, but like, it's almost like death by 1,000 paper cuts sometimes, where I've seen this a lot, where it's like the best players at like 9, 10, 11, 12 years old, even maybe 13, 14 years old, they have those overbearing parents. And part of the reason why they are like the 10, 11, 12 best at that age is because they have millions of more reps than other kids. But what ends up happening, that's the physical ability. But what you're chipping away at is the mental stuff, like the love for the game, those types of things that are really, really important. And like, how many kids do you know who were the best at those younger of ages, but they had those overbearing parents, and they're out of hockey by 18, or they severely, underachieve for the talent that they have because they fall out of love with the game because of the pressures that were put on. I know people that I played with that are like that. I've seen it in the college recruiting process a lot. It's huge, man. Like, I don't know. I don't know what you think about that. It's like that. It's just the gradual mental effery
grinding down.
just like you're grinding them down, and eventually.
Like
yeah. Thoughts?
It's a slow, like you said, you're getting the reps when they're young, and you get a false sense of greatness or whatever. And it's just that they're doing more reps of just this one specific thing. So they're going to get better at hockey right away.
Hockey skills.
Put over the hockey
not necessarily
skills,
better
yes,
hockey
which isn't
players.
even hockey.
Yeah.
Hockey skills and hockey are very different things. But as you get older, the players who enjoy, and Toph is so eloquent about this. He talks about it, and I don't think people really understand how important it is, even though Toph says this probably every podcast. One of the most important things we can do as mentors, coaches, directors, parents, older people is help facilitate a love for the game, because, we're reverse engineering. A love for the game means you want to practice, means you have more intention, means all these things. You seek outside ways to get better at the game, nutrition, mindset, breathing, sleep, recovery, all these things. That starts with the love of the game. When you're young and you're doing all those things, and you let your players skate every day, or you push them to skate every day, yes, they will get better right away. But the players who are taking time away, they love the game more. They come back to it. They're more excited. They're getting more well-rounded athleticism from playing other sports. So 5 years down the road, they're going to wind up being better players because of all these things, while your child might not like you even anymore because you're pushing them nonstop instead of them driving the bus.
Yeah. You and I both know of teammates that we've had now that we're older and have kids and stuff, who teammates don't want their dads around their kids.
Yeah, dude, it's really sad. It's
I know
really
people
sad.
like that. They're like, I don't want my dad around my kids because of how he treated me in my youth hockey journey, or not even just youth hockey, but even into college and the pros, right? Like, that's sad. It's just it's a reality though.
Yeah, I know a bunch of guys who like literally don't even like hockey anymore. They used to be obsessed with it because their dad was so pushy with it, and I know a lot of players like that, and it's really sad, man.
Yeah. So okay, that's the parent to player. Let's talk coach to parent now. And so I think honestly, there's not that much to talk about with this, but I would say honesty and transparency is everything. Honesty and transparency, and don't let issues fester. Like if there's an issue, let's deal with it, and let's deal with it in the right way. Let's be respectful. Let's have an honest, person to person conversation, and don't be a gossiper. You know what I mean? Like just coaches, be very upfront, be very honest, follow through with the things that you're going to say. Parents, if there's issues, let's deal with it in the right way. Like take your 24 or your 48-hour rule. And then instead of like bashing the coach to all the other parents on the team, let's have a conversation with the coach, or let's have our kid, even better, have a conversation with the coach about things that are going on that you feel aren't the right for your kid, So coaches, be proactive, set the standards, set the expectations, be transparent about all the different things that you're doing. And then parents on the other end, same thing, like honesty. Let's deal with problems as they arise. Let's do it in a respectful way. Like that's all. Like they're really, that's it.
It's you're preaching the freaking choir, Toph.
That's it.
That's it. That's it. That's it.
I kind of got to that too, where it's like it's simple but not easy, right?
I think
it's simple but not easy. And I understand for the parents that are listening to this that are thinking, well, if I say something to the coach, they're going to blackball my kid. And what I would say to that is, if you're playing for a coach that you feel that way about, then you're with the wrong coach, and you need to reevaluate your situation. Because what's number one? Surround your kid with really good people. I don't want my kid playing for a coach who, if I respectfully say something to them, they're going to take it out on my kid.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Let's pause right here. What are the best ways to talk to the coach as a parent?
Yeah. Well, first of all, and most importantly, your 24 or 48-hour rule,
I love
so when you
rule.
see something happen, like let it marinate, like sit with it, calm down and do it. And then I think like other things that are really good in that is, first of all, when you go in to speak to a coach, ask questions, don't accuse and point fingers. Like if you go in there to voice your opinion to a coach and you point fingers and you say, you should, my kid deserves X, Y, and Z, there's going to be a wall that goes up really fast and nothing is going to get accomplished in that conversation. As coaches, the best question that we can get asked from a player or a parent in this situation, if we're talking about youth hockey, is what can I do, or what can my kid do to earn X, Y, and Z? That's how you start a conversation. Hey, notice my kid didn't play in the third period. Just want to know what the thought process was and what they can do to earn your trust so they can have more of a role at that time of the game, and then you might hear from that coach, well, hey, look, like little Jimmy, like doesn't work hard in practice. Like he doesn't really have a lot of respect from his teammates because he doesn't work very hard, and he's got a bad attitude at the gym and whatever. And then the parent be like, oh crap. Okay. Appreciate that. I'll go make sure I reinforce that message. I want my kid to not be that guy, and then you find out if there's a coach that's honest. You figure out if that's the right fit in those types of situations. So I think that's big. Like ask questions, don't accuse, use the 24 to 48-hour rule, go in to find solutions, not vent your problems.
Put yourself in that scenario too. Like it sounds like, oh, that's not a big deal. Like, why shouldn't I talk to him within 24 hours? Or why I'm a grown up. I don't have to ask a question like that. Well, like, think about you. Like if you're a boss and somebody comes to you and they're like, in your face, like pointing finger, or it's like it feels like you're being accused. What do you as a human being naturally do? You get on the defensive right away. So it's like you're trying to help your son or daughter get better, love the game, play more, whatever it is. So if that's the end goal, why don't you attack the problem in a way that actually helps your son or daughter instead of doing it that way? You know, like think about, what do I want to gain from this conversation? Well, I want my kid to be able to play in that scenario. Okay, well, let me ask him, well, what's the best way to do that? Well, let's ask the coach. Then you're going to get actual feedback that is something tangible that you can bring to your son or daughter and say, hey, let's work on this. Or in practice, I think you should try this. Coach said that he really wants you to work on this. Now coach sees little Johnny or little Sarah working on it in practice, and he's like, hey, I love that you're working on that. Now you're out there the next time that situation arises.
Yep. Trust has been built.
Versus the other way around, you go in there swinging, yelling, whatever, accusing. Well, Johnny or Sarah's not going to be out there, and they're going to tell everyone in the organization that they don't like you, which then hurts your son or daughter. I'm not saying that's right, but that's what happens a lot in these scenarios. So let's work around it.
Yeah, for sure. And then on the other reality side of things, I'll talk to the coaches now. We just talked to the parents. What I would suggest every coach do in these scenarios where there's a disconnect between a parent and you, whenever you have a conversation with a kid or whenever you have a conversation with a parent, make sure another coach or a program director is in the room with you. That is really, really, really important, because there are crazy parents out there. And when there are parents that go in to have those conversations who are only looking to exploit something that you're going to say so they can take it to the program director to make their kid look better or whatever, right? Like there are bad actors 100%. And I've been a part of conversations, and I learned that it's really important, because in a lot of those conversations, especially when parents are coming in, they're not happy with something that you did with their kid, whether it's playing time or something you said to them or whatever. You know, that they can come in hot and they will accuse you of different things that didn't happen, you know? And so whenever you have for all the coaches out there, like whenever you have a conversation, first of all, I think that's a safe sport thing with a kid. Like you shouldn't be having one-on-one conversations with the kid. So have somebody in the room. And that's important, because your conversation with the kid, what's the next conversation that kid's going to have? It's going to be with their parents. And there's a lot of times that things get lost in translation from your conversation with kid and then kid's conversation with mom or dad. And then they're going to come in saying, well, Johnny told me that you said this. And then if you had another coach in the room with you or another parent or somebody, they'll be like, no, he didn't say that. If that was how it was interpreted, that's not actually what happened. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I've been a part of conversations like that with parents, you know, and it's really important to have that sidekick with you to validate what you actually did say. And then at the same time, a parent might take something that you say that they don't like, and they're going to spin it in a way that they're going to try to get you fired, you know, from the program director or something like that. And that's where, again, important to have another person in the room to validate what you actually did say or didn't say. So these are the realities, you know, like it's easy to sit here on a podcast and say like, oh, communication is important and everybody needs to be honest. And, you know, it should be easy. That's just not reality. And so in speaking to the parents here and in speaking to the coaches here, these are some tips that can help you to have good conversations with each other when there is a disconnect or when there is an issue.
I love that. And you guys have heard me say on the podcast a million times, you know, the story that I think pretty much changed my career with me not playing my first year very much in AAA. Like literally there were games I played one shift a game, like not a joke. That's not a lie whatsoever. I played one shift. And my parents had me go into the coach's room and have a talk. And at the end of the season, ask, what can I do to help? Everything Toph just said here. But my mom said something that was very, very impactful for the rest of my life and important. And she said, I want you to bring a notebook and write down everything he says. And so like what Toph was talking about here, sometimes, especially me as a kid, you got a kid who's going in to talk to a coach. That's a nerve-wracking situation. Yeah, but also hard. It's a situation that you want to put your kids in, because guess what? They might get in trouble at school and they got to go to the principal's office. How can they handle themselves there if they've never been in that situation? They might get in trouble at work down the road. They did something wrong. They broke a rule, whatever it is. And they're going to have to talk to their boss. And it's a high stress situation. You want them to have the skills to handle those things. And we can use hockey as a vehicle where, playing time is something that they covet, something that they want. It's something that they love is hockey. They care about it so much. So now we can use this as a teaching moment for the rest of their life. But that little thing when my mom told me to bring a notebook in and write down everything so I didn't get anything misconstrued, I could tell them what coach said. I could remember what he said, because there's tons of times where I've had very stressful meetings where I didn't do that. And I couldn't remember everything that was said because I was nervous and there's back and forth and all these things. I don't remember everything, and a lot of concussions and things like that. So also I would say, have your kid bring a notebook in there too to help with that situation as well. And I think that's just a great lesson that they can learn.
Great advice.
Life.
Great advice. You give a lot of that, Jeffrey. Nice work.
Trying, bro. I made a lot of mistakes, so this is my
rectify it. Yeah,
that's why we do this.
Help other people not make the mistakes that we did. Yeah, no question. Okay, so last one here. So we got through the first four. Last one, how do you help navigate this youth hockey journey? What's your why? Why are you doing it? As a parent, why did you put your kid in youth sports? As a coach, why did you get into youth sports and want to either give back or get paid, whatever? Like, why are you in there to coach or to facilitate, be a manager? And then as a kid, why do you play? Like those are really, really important. So let's start with the players first and foremost. And this is something that I deal with at the college level and pro coaches deal with at the pro level that I think can be a great message to kids in youth hockey. So I do a lot of team building with college teams, Division I, Division III, ACHA, you kind of run the gamut. And one of the things I do with every team that I work with is I'll ask them, okay, why do you guys play hockey? I'll literally why do you guys play hockey? And the answer is the same. I love it. It's fun, in some capacity, right? That's 95% of the answers. I love it. Okay. Now I want you to raise your hand if when you get to the rink, that's the first thing on your mind. 0 hands go up. Not 1. 0 hands go up. What are they thinking about? What mood is coach going to be on? What line am I going to be on for practice today? How hard is practice going to be today? Thinking about all these different things that you cannot control instead of thinking about the reason why you're there. What got you there? It was the love for the game. And because you loved it, you worked at it. And because you worked at it, you got better. And because you got better, you earned yourself the opportunity to be here and playing college hockey. Why don't we put that at the forefront of our mind when we come to the rink? And so I think it's really important, especially during the tough times. And we all go through them, so if there's a coach or a parent that's listening to this and you got a kid that's going through some stuff, hey, just remind them, ask them the question, like, why are you here? What are you doing? Well, I just love to play. Like, why do you play hockey? It's because it's fun. I love being with my teammates. I love to play. I love to compete, whatever it is. There's going to be some version of that. And okay, great. Remind yourself of that every time you come to the rink, especially right now that it's tough. That what's your why? It's everything.
Man, you gave me chills right there because I've thought about my own career, and it's exactly what you said. When you're in a hole, when I'd be down, had a couple bad games in a row or whatever it is, like you've had a bad game and you had 2 bad penalties, they scored, the team loses because of your bad penalties, like one of the ways that I would get myself out of holes would be like, I'm just going to the rink to have fun today. Yeah. And then it would stay that my focus for a while because that would always get me back on track, because usually like I looked at it as like quicksand. Like you get in a hole, you have a bad game, 1 turns into 2, 3, or shifts or whatever it is. And then you start thinking too much. Now you start overanalyzing and you're not having fun anymore. And it's just like you're moving really fast without intention usually. And it's quicksand. You're doing things and it's not helping. You feel like you're drowning. The way that I always got out of that was I would completely stop everything I did. And I would just be like, all I need to do is go to the rink and have fun today. And then do that the next day. And then slowly get back to my process. And it would always bring me back to playing well, playing my best. Cause I was getting back to like, again, it's like everything we talked about on this podcast, how we've just kind of like whittled down to what is that fundamental foundational thing that everything else stems from, is why do you play hockey? Because you love it. You love competing. You love coming to the rink. You love winning. You love being on a team. And it's like you get back to that stuff. And with the mentorship stuff I do, if anybody is ever down, that's the focus is, hey, are you having fun right now? No, I'm not. And then we talk about that. We get back to fun first. And then it's like everything else. Then we start back up with our processes and things like that. It's so freaking important. But the overarching theme is what of your why, guys. If you start to do this with everything in your life, it makes winning at life a lot easier. A lot easier.
Yeah. That's actually a good way of putting it. It makes winning at life a lot easier because the goalposts are a lot easier. I don't want to say a lot easier to attain, but the goalposts are put in a place where you want them, not somebody else.
And then you can decide how to get there.
Yeah.
It's so, again, I think I've said it before in this podcast. I think the easiest metaphor, I love talking in metaphors because then people can really visualize. I'm a visual learner. Like you wouldn't get in your car and say, hey, I got to go to this new business that I got, I'm going to a new doctor's office today. You get in your car and you just start driving, but you don't know where it is. Okay, you're never going to get there. Okay, I'm going to this new doctor's office. What do? You take the address, you put it in your GPS, you put it in Waze. Now it tells you turn by turn how to get to that doctor's office. Well, whatever you're trying to be good at, in this instance, we're talking about hockey. That's the doctor's office. You put in hockey as, whatever it is, play college hockey, play junior hockey, sign an NHL deal, make the AA team at the end of this summer, whatever that goal is right now, then you reverse engineer the turns you take, metaphor for steps you're going to take to make the team or get to that doctor's office. What is your why is the end destination, and using ways to then determine by reverse engineering what steps you need to do to get to that end goal.
There we go. Love it. All right. So what's your why as a player? What's your why as a parent? Again, just ask yourself, why did you put your son or your daughter into youth sports? And a lot of times, and I've seen it, and it's easy to get this way, but you kind of start with one why, and then maybe your kid gets a little better. Maybe all of a sudden they start making some teams, and then maybe all of a sudden it gets a little bit more serious. And so your why changes a little bit. You seen that? I've seen that with quite a few parents.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
But I think, I don't even need to say it, but you know what I'm talking about, right? Like I put my kid in youth sports because I want them to learn life lessons. I want them to learn how to be a part of a team. I want them to be physically active and healthy. And then it gets to a point where it's like, okay, now my why is I got to get my kid in the NHL, or I got to get my daughter to the PWHL or the Olympics or something like that. And then all of a sudden we're a completely different person in the way that we communicate with our kid. We're a completely different person in as far as how we make decisions for, our family. And it goes to the wayside. And that's not to say that those two can't be married. Obviously if your kid has a talent for it and they love it, you're going to make decisions a little bit differently than if your kid, just kind of likes it, or doesn't really want to put the work in. It's just a fun thing for them. Like you'll make decisions based on that, but always remember why you put your kid in youth sports. And I would imagine that most, if not all people, certainly not all, but most people put their kids in youth sports for the right reasons. Yeah. Want them to be physically active, want them to make friends, want them to learn the life lessons. Can change as things get a little bit more serious, but resetting yourself back on that, I think it can go a long way to helping yourself navigate the journey. All right, let's go to the coaches then. Again, I think it's important for coaches to think about this too. What's your why? Why, again, similar to the parents, why did you get involved? What was the goal in getting involved in coaching youth sports? Was it to make sure that the kids that you were coaching made the NHL? Was it to win at all costs? Or was it to have a positive effect on young kids? I think, again, same thing. Most, if not close to all coaches get into it for the right reasons, where they want to have a positive impact. It's giving back. This game of hockey gave us so much that we want to give back to the game and teach kids the lessons that we learned when we were going through it. And then again, same thing. Maybe it gets a little bit more serious. Maybe you coach an older level. Maybe you coach a little bit of a higher level. And then all of a sudden our focus goes from development and life skills to winning at all costs. And that's just not healthy for yourself. That's not healthy for the kids that you're coaching. That's not healthy for the families of the kids that you're coaching. And so kind of getting back into it, I know I'm my best as a coach when I'm centered on my why. I'm a way better coach when I'm centered on my why. I'm a bad coach when I'm not coaching authentically and I'm not coaching to my why. And I'm worried about things that I shouldn't be worrying about, other people's opinions, the things I can't control, all of that. No. The most important thing is that we're true to who we are as coaches and we live the life that we want to live and make sure that our kids are learning from us through our actions.
And I think what's great about the what is your why too, it's like a funnel or one of those Russian nesting dolls. Like the biggest doll is like the overarching theme. What is my why? Why do I coach? And then we go down further. What is my why, with coaching? Okay, then what is my why with this week's practice plan for the things that we need to work on? So like
break
even
it down,
coming into the week, like what are the themes of this week that we need to work on for the games this weekend? And then another nesting doll. What do I need to be doing to get these players all ready for next season? Like you're bantams now. Well, in midgets, you need to be able to do bop, bop, bop. So those are things that I need to constantly be building into my practices. And then down even further that, what is our why today? Why a practice today? What is our why? What are we trying to accomplish? How are we going to accomplish that? What are the goals of the day? Because that's going to get to the next nesting down, make sure they're ready for the next season and things like that. Win more games this year, all of that. So it's like, you're constantly doing this both from a macro and a micro level so that you can be your best. And it allows you to create, what are those highway markers, I got to hit this one, then I got to hit this one, then I got to hit this one, which allows you to hit the overarching thing, which is the end goal.
Yeah, it's great advice. I love that. That's so good. I do. 7 different kinds of smoke. Let's go.
You're not watching YouTube. You don't even know what we're doing with these noises. Sorry, but they're fun. Let me tell you, they're fun.
All right. So 5 things, guys. 5 things that can help navigate this crazy, sometimes confusing, often confusing youth hockey world. It's hopefully some of the things that we've given you here today can help create some sanity in the insane, can help provide some perspective that can help. And, we love you guys. And again, like all of what we talked about today are from our experiences and from what we've learned from you guys. So please continue to reach out to us, continue to give us feedback, shoot us DMs. Goes a long way for us to be able to talk about the things that we know are important to you. So 5 keys to navigating youth hockey. Number 1, it's all about the people. Number 2, run your own race. Number 3, find the positive in anything you can. Number 4, it's all about communication. Number 5, the power of what is your why. Jeff Lavecchio, anything to add to end this puppy off?
Guys, like these overarching themes, sometimes it's like, yeah, duh. But like we talk about them because they matter. Topher and I have been in the game for a long time. We've both been with, at the highest levels of the game. We've seen who makes it, who doesn't, why. How do they show up every day? Like all these different things. And we're just trying to teach you guys and tell you guys what we've seen, what we've learned, what we've seen work, what we've seen doesn't work over and over again. That's all it is, trying to help you. And some of these things you might be like, yeah, duh. But like, you'd be surprised how many people overlook the yeah, does for that shiny object when really the yeah, duh, the simple but not easy thing to stick to and be consistent with is actually what really moves the needle. And that's what we're about, is actual substance. So I hope this one helped you guys.
Boom. All right, guys, we love you. Have a great week, and latris on the Menzie.